Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Iconic Wealth for Women podcast. Your host, Kylie Anderson. I'm the Iconic Wealth for Women founder and an online business strategist and award-winning coach. And I'm joined today by the wonderful Emma Wright. Emma is a chartered financial planner with the initials APFS. I'll find out what that stands for later. Emma comes from a wealth of finance and trading floor experience. So she's got 20 years wealth management experience, spent a decade on the trading floor, which I can't wait to explore because I work for an American investment bank. So I can't wait to hear more about that. And she's now gone on to become a financial planner, a chartered financial planner, and empowers women and men. I know you work with both, but this show is all about empowering women around financial planning and financial coaching, looking at how products and services and things like that can actually build up your long-term wealth. So just a quick disclaimer, because we're not here to teach you financial advice. We are here to educate and inspire. So please make sure you take your own financial advice before doing anything that we talk about on the show. And if you're currently wondering if you can invest, how to get started, can you do it with small amounts of money? We're going to bust some myths today as well. So welcome, Emma. It's awesome to have you here. And I look forward to diving into a conversation with you. Would you want to tell us a little bit about how, I'm quite excited because obviously I worked for an American investment bank when I first come to London, and it was the biggest eye-opener I think I ever saw around real money. When the trading floor guys used to get bonuses for $1 million, I'll be like, wow, coming from a small country town, it was a big eye-opener coming into London. But I worked in the HR team, so I did a lot of the milk ground recruitment stuff here. So I really love to know about kind of how you ended up on a financial trading floor, which was obviously predominantly quite a male-dominated environment. So tell us a bit about your journey, how you got to where you are today.
That is so interesting. I just love that because actually I started out in an American investment bank. When I first moved to London, I started out in Citigroup. And yeah, my journey to the trading floor it was really by chance, but I don't think things ever happen by chance. I think it's meant to be and following your instincts and intuition. My journey all started, I think, by the fact that I had a really good maths teacher. And he just really inspired me. I really wasn't the best. I didn't get A stars. I loved maths. I loved, showing up for things. And he just encouraged me. And I think that really helped me. I went on to university and I studied financial derivatives by accident. I actually
not necessarily everyone's choice.
Well, I applied to do accounting, and within the accounting qualification was the derivatives aspect, and that's where I learned trading. That's where I learned about options pricing and all things that just totally geeked me out, the Black-Scholes formula. And it was doing that I realized this is what I wanted to do. If it wasn't for that, I would never have learned about trading. And I was like, this is what I really want to do. And that's what led me to applying to Citigroup's Derivative Academy program. And when I kind of moved to London, which was a massive step for me because I moved on my own. When I moved to London and started my career in finance, and I went down to the trading floor, I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. It was such a buzz. It was really exciting. I loved the trading. I loved the deals. And yeah, that's right. That's kind of really how it all started. It really wasn't intentional at any stage, but I followed my intuition. I followed what I loved doing. I followed what really excited me. And that's how I ended up in London for Citigroup.
And I love that he saw a spark in you as well, because, some teachers can do good and bad damage in relation to that sort of thing. So I love that he sparked some creativity in you. It's brilliant. And so you obviously have 20 years experience. So were you on the trading floor when it was like proper trading? Like obviously now it's all on the computer, it's all on screen and stuff like that. But were you in a pit? Is that a pit when they do the trading? That class as a pit? Were you in that sort of trading or yeah?
No. It hasn't. Do you know what? It hasn't been up an outcry for a really, really long time. However, I have been. I know.
You always want to see the TV show ones, don't you?
It was a massive trading floor.
Yeah.
Even though you weren't kind of open outcry, we did a lot of trading. We was like close that trade. We we had little buzzers. We had 4 screens. We had the buzzers that would shout across the floor to the trader here, where I was on the sales with the phone, closing the deal. So it was really, really high energy. People were just buzzing. When we rung a bell when we did a trade and we closed a big deal, multi-million pound trades happening all around us, and it really was exciting. And I look back on that time and it was incredible. Like, it was like the best time of my life. I was really lucky as well. You talk about a male dominated environment. It was very male dominated. There was a lot of the traders in particular were men. I was like in sales trading, and I was really lucky that my boss, I moved to RBS quite quickly after Citigroup, and that's where I had predominance of my career. Like, most of my career was at RBS Investment Bank, and I was really lucky. I had a manager called Neil Saunders, and he was incredible. He just was all about promoting women. On our desk, we had a mixture of women. It was very balanced, men and women on our desk, our UK trading desk. And so I felt really, really blessed. He just let me go out into the world of sales, because I used to sell a lot of our investment products across the UK, and he just would give me that kind of confidence to go out there and be, developing the business for the desk, and give me all of those skills, pushed me out of my comfort zone, but really trusted me. And that was amazing. I feel like my maths teacher was a man, my boss, this inspiring boss, was a man, and it was just, I just felt really blessed to have had that opportunity and those people around me to push me forwards and not hold me back.
I love that. It's really empowering, isn't it? So I think that it was interesting, because when I joined, I think there was 3 women on that trading floor. And they were so supported, though. It's like you said, they were unique in what they were doing, but they were so supported by the guys around them. The guys loved them.
Yes.
So it was really fascinating to watch that journey, because I come from obviously a sales background, so I get the buzz. Like 15 years in corporate sales, I'm the same, but I was just selling real estate instead. But it was always the buzz, ring the bell, we've done another deal, we've sold something. So whiteboards everywhere. So
and that's really important, I think, because one of the things that I feel like as business owners we get really anxious about is sales. But because I came from the background where you were celebrating all your wins all the time, all together, I think that was a massive mindset thing for me. Whenever I have a call now, even with a client in my own business, I don't really feel that negative energy around sales, which can sometimes happen, because sales for some people is really not a nice word. For me, it was like, I'm going to make an offer. I want to, if you're here because you want to work with me, I'd love to work with you. Here's my offer. And I see it very differently. And I celebrate every win, big or small, because that's kind of what was put into me. That positivity around the energy of closing a deal. It was electric.
Yeah, and I think it is interesting. So, working with small business owners and lots of women in business, like you said, the struggle around sales, the focus that it's such a negative word and connotation, and you're like, no, you're just helping someone. It's like, because when you're in that environment, it's like you said, especially for me, like coming from real estate and recruitment, I was just helping someone. I was either helping someone move house, which was incredible, and they got a new home and they were really excited, or we were getting them into new careers and new roles. So it's like, you're always then helping someone. So I was the same. I never saw it as a negative connotation. It was like, yay, excitement, But there is a lot of stigma around sales in especially in business. And I find women in general find that, I think they're used to seeing sleazy sales tactics, and they have a negative connotation towards it. And like you said, we're quite lucky coming from a sales environment where it makes our job easier in business now, because we see it as fun. And it's like, for me, it's helping someone. It's exciting. It's like, wow, I'm about to take them on a journey. So I really love that you acknowledge that. Yeah.
I think that's really interesting as well, because sometimes we feel like when we're selling something, we're giving something up. And well, if someone's paying me this amount, there's got to be some loss somewhere. And I think as a trader with that background, you see that money is infinite.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, it's flowing, it's being created, the banks are printing money, and there's no loss, not necessarily loss for the gain as well. I think you see it from a different perspective. You see financial markets, and you see the global marketplace, and you see how abundant it is all around the world. Even when there's challenging times, you see a bit, a crash in the market and things rebound, companies recover. And I think you get a different insight into how kind of the world goes around when you've been on the dealing floor.
Yeah, definitely opened me up to real money. I was like, oh, wow. These guys are going to buy houses just on their bonuses, not even their salaries. I was like, oh, wow, this is real money. But it does. It changes your perspective about money, isn't it? It's like you said, it's just a resource. It just flows. There's no... where a lot of women attach so much to the meaning of money to themselves. And, I hate that, charge what you're worth. It's like, no, you're worth everything. You don't need, it's not about charging for that. So we see a lot of that. So in relation to kind of your background, coming off the trading floor and obviously coming out of that sort of, I guess, massive banking industry, I guess, what kind of got you turning into kind of financial planning and now into kind of wealth coaching? Why did you take that journey?
That's really interesting because, like, for me, it was all about, I wanted to help the individual. I had, through the fact that I was kind of the people that sold my investment products were in the IFAs and financial advisors. So I had a real connection in the UK with like the network, and I just loved what they were doing. I loved the impact that they were having as advisors, and they got to change the individual. And I was getting a little bit bored of working with hedge funds. I went into a role towards the end of my investment banking career was I was helping like hedge fund managers and big fund managers. And I was like, I want to work with individuals. I want to have more impact in actual people's lives. And so I started to pay for it myself. I started to fund my qualifications to get my diploma. I just loved learning. I loved learning about the financial planning aspect of wealth. And I just decided that it was something that I really wanted to do. And I then got married. And I got married in 2014. I got married and we both decided, we were both working, my husband at the time was working for a hedge fund. We didn't want to be in London anymore.
Was that a work romance? No.
It started in Citigroup on the academy. It was, absolutely a work romance.
Love it.
But literally, I'm blushing now.
Literally,
we wanted to have a different life. Mm-hmm. And my husband James is from North Devon, and we were like, we're traveling back to North Devon. We love London, but we want to live here. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I could be a financial planner. I could become a chartered financial planner. And so I was like, let's do it. So I transferred at the time from RBS into the NatWest Bank to become a financial advisor. And that's sort of my journey, my change in journey towards becoming what I am today, which was a really great, it was such a great move because I was really, I didn't feel, having had all of this massive experience in the investment bank, I was starting again. It was such a new thing to do. And I felt like I needed to learn how to do this job amazingly at the standard that I was doing my job in the investment bank. So that's why I really pushed to become chartered very quickly. I took lots of exams. I really wanted to be the best. And I felt actually the male-dominated industry was more negative in financial advice. And that was a big challenge for me. I felt quite challenged as an advisor when I moved into that space instead of the investment bank where you might expect it to be, which was really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I was talking to someone from the Institute of Financial Wellbeing the other day, and it's like you said, they obviously work with lots of financial planners, and they're trying to change and shift their mentality around, helping women and some of the softer skills and some of the things that you're not just pushing products, you're looking at going their overall vision and what are they actually trying to achieve. So let's talk about financial planning as well. So there's 2 points I want to bring up around what you've just said too. How have you adjusted? This is kind of just a business question. How have you adjusted then? Because I really struggled with this when I got out of sales. The chaos around you in a sales floor to working from home by yourself. Well, are you by yourself? I don't think hubby's out yet, is he? No. So you're working from home by yourself. How have you found that shift in the transition of having so much buzz around you, so much going on, to working from home?
I have the buzz every day. It's just in me. It's who I am. But the way that I manage it, and I think this is how when I'm working with my clients, I help them to do this. I have a calendar that is color coordinated. I time block, and I'm really clear on what I need to do every day, because when you're working for yourself, you have the business to run, the marketing to run, the clients to run, everything. And so I'm really, really clear and intentional on my time. When I get excited and I have an idea, I write things down. I'm in masterminds as well. I think we talked about this the other day together. Masterminds for me give me that connection to that trading floor almost.
Yeah.
I am on my own here, but I really believe in, because one of the things that I used to benefit from on the trading floor was if I had an idea, I could bounce it off of so many people and get their input who were really supportive. And that's what I do in the masterminds that I'm in and the masterminds that I run. I love to create that kind of energy that people need to keep them going, because being an entrepreneur or running your own business is very ups and downs. It's a roller coaster, and you are playing sometimes for the long game. And with the trading floor, we used to get instant rewards every day. We were closing
that was
trades.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time we expect to close trades very quickly when we set up our business. And it can take 6 to 12 months to get your business into a place where clients are finding you and it becomes easier and you're not chasing your tail all the time. So I think one of the transitions that I made when I left the investment bank is I learned that, because I went to doing this for somebody else as an employee of a wealth management firm, that it can take 6 to 12 months to start building up a client book, to start building up momentum, to get people to know your message. So I already understood that before I became a business owner.
Love it.
So I understood the shift in my mindset. It doesn't mean that I don't get that feeling of when am I going to ring the bell? But what I do is I reward myself. I ring the bell for the small wins every day.
I love that.
And I make sure that I reward myself constantly for the actions that I'm not doing, not necessarily for the money all the time. I don't think about the money. I try and reward myself for the things that I am building, for the actions that I'm taking that will lead to the bigger outcomes, maybe in 12 to 18 months' time. Because your brain doesn't like long goals and really big visions. It's like that primal instinct of hunting. It wants to go hunting, eat the gazelle or whatever it's hunting, and then it's rung the bell and it's rewarded. It goes for a sleep. Our lives are so different to that these days. So it's trying to find ways of ringing the bell.
I love that though, because we're in a quick transaction, and you find that even when talking to clients and business owners, they want everything yesterday, and you're like, no, it doesn't quite work that way. So I love that you come in with that. I must admit, I struggled with that transition initially, because I was like, oh, I'm alone, I'm in my office. And like you said, it wasn't until I started getting into masterminds and building my own community. Now I'm out the other side completely. But it was interesting, that transition initially for me was, wow, like there's no one around me. So my trick was, I found I used to go and work in hotels all the time. So I'd go to pubs and hotels to work, because then I had the buzz of people walking around and seeing people. And it was like, I can write and concentrate. It's weird. And everyone says to me, but don't you go somewhere quiet? And it's like, no, I go somewhere noisy if I want to write. So yeah, that was one of the ways I started.
I'm so the same.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny. My husband does run his own business, but he works in the house. And so I try, because I can get laser focus. And I think that from working on a busy trading floor, you have to concentrate and focus.
Yeah.
So I could be in a busy room and I don't hear things. So I do work for, I go and work at local co-working spaces.
Yeah.
And I can just put my headphones on, or I can have them off and be really concentrating, and people could be making a cup of tea and I don't notice.
Interesting. See, I struggle with co-working because I want to chat.
Yeah, I do.
I always find I'm the disruptor in a co-working space. So I go down to a few of the groups where we do co-working, but I'm like, I never come away from doing any work. I always come away from great conversations, but I'm like, I never get any work done. So they don't work for me like that.
And that's it, isn't it? It's finding things that work for you.
It is.
It's never going to work for everybody. Everyone's own kind of unique approach. I think since I've stepped into coaching, in 2019, I discovered coaching and I thought, well, my goodness, this is going to reinvent the world. I did not realize that this even existed. They don't talk about it in financial services, hardly at all. And it is the missing ingredient in financial planning and advice. It really is. And when I discovered coaching, like, I realized for so long I'd been doing everything wrong with my clients, because I would go into a room and I'd already have their financial future mapped out based on what I knew about them. And what I've realized is when, kind of helping business owners, helping people with their wealth, is to kind of take that step back and ask questions and listen.
Yeah. Let
and
them
then
tell
work
you what
out
they want. Yeah.
Yeah, and work out together the best way for them. I can give you all of my insight onto what's worked for me, all of my experiences, but I'm not you. And what works for me might not work for you. And I really believe in kind of that bespoke approach to wealth and business, as well as having steps is really good. Having clear frameworks helps people to figure things out, but also trying to approach it from you are you. What might work for someone else might not work for you, and taking your own approach in.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, you can still have a framework. It's like me, I have a framework for helping people build online businesses, but they have to find the things that work for them within that framework to get them to where they want to go. Like, I couldn't tell someone to go and run a workshop if they hate running workshops, or do you know what I mean? So there's still flexibility within a framework. A framework, all it does is, like you said, it helps them guide a faster path, I think, normally. So I love that you have framework. So let's talk about what is financial planning. So if people are sitting there going, like, do I even need a financial plan? Like, what is it? Like, and I think we want to bust some myths around this, because the thing I hear a lot is going, oh, that financial planning's for wealthy people. So I hear that a lot. I can't go to a financial planner. I don't have enough money yet. So talk to us about kind of financial planning, what it really means to kind of get into financial planning, and when should we start, really? I guess that's the key.
We should start immediately.
Yes.
Yeah. Financial planning is not about the money. It's not about products. It should actually be, and this is what I really believe in. I'm relaunching my brand, Independent Wealth, because I believe financial planning should be independent of product. It shouldn't be about the product. That is something that may be required. Financial planning is all about designing your best life. So it's all about taking that kind of check-in with yourself to say, what do I want in life? What's it all about? What's my purpose in life? What's my vision? Who do I want to be? What do I want to have? What do I want to do? It's all of those really important, empowering questions that we sometimes don't ask ourselves, and we power on through. When we leave uni, we kind of get a job and we just power on into life because we're at a different place than we're trying to get our basic needs met. We look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we're trying to get that in place.
The security,
the security, financial security to be able to live. Whereas I think we need to, once we're in that place where we have our basic needs met, it's really good to check in and say, what's it all about? And I think sometimes we have that itch to scratch, that we feel like something's not quite right. That's a really good indication that perhaps we need to look at what we're doing in life. So for me, a financial plan is a life plan. It's a life strategy plan. It's to help you to look at where you are. And one of the biggest things that we don't do in financial services, and that's something that I'm changing with my own business and many of the people that I know that are kind of taking a new path in financial services in their own career, is that we go and do a fact find. And then we look at the current means, and then it's okay. If you save here, and then if you invest a little bit, maybe you can retire one day in 40 years' time. That's really not kind of inspiring. It doesn't inspire you want to take action. It's like, well, what's the point in putting money in my pension? Because I'm going to still have to work till 70 or 80. It's not inspiring. So one of the things that I really believe in is that we look at what you want in life. And a financial plan looks at where you are currently and then finds really inspiring ways to create wealth strategies that plug the gap, that give you your best life. We don't reduce your life. We don't stop you from living. We look at all of the ways, all of your assets, not just your tangible assets, but all your intangible assets that are all around you that you've created through uni, through working, through life, to look at, well, what can we do to create wealth and give you the abundance you need to live your best life for the rest of your days. And we map that out. That's what a financial plan should look like. It does include pensions and investing and kind of property investments. It includes all of the things that you could do, and it should include all of the things that are right for you. Because if you are really entrepreneurial, if you put money into a pension, you can't touch that for a long time. It might be better to put little bits into your pension, but to invest something into a business venture or into a property that you could buy to let. It's all about kind of finding things that work for you, a little bit like what you said when you start out with your business. You find things that will work for you. There's no point saying to go onto a podcast if you're terrified of a podcast. We create strategies. I think it's really important to create strategies that's going to give you the life that you love, because life's for living today. And if we don't learn to live, and I've seen this as a financial advisor, I had clients that built up really big pension pots. And even then when they retired at 65, they didn't know how to live. Yeah. And they got really anxious about spending their pots. Yeah. And they still didn't draw down. I'm like, why are we not drawing down? Life's for living. But again, it's teaching you with a financial plan. And that's why I feel very passionately about the connection between planning and coaching, is getting you to live a life you love genuinely in this present moment.
Yeah, I love
that.
So
learning to live along the way as you build financial security, freedom and independence.
Yeah, I love that, because it's really empowering, because there's a lot of fear around running out. Like, what if I run out of money? What do I do then? So I really love that you're bringing in today. And I think it's really powerful, the question you asked around, what do you want? Because when I ask women, especially women so often, what do you want? They always tell you what they don't want. They don't ever sit there and just digest to go, well, what would life really look like? What do you really want in your life? And I find I always get the answers the opposite. Well, I don't want this and I don't want that. And it's like, great, but what do you really want? Go deep. And I think that's really empowering in itself. And then obviously putting figures around it as well and helping them actually create it and build it is absolutely incredible. I love everything that you're doing. So tell me about, so obviously one of the things that got me started, obviously, developing Iconic Wealth for Women and starting to have these conversations more, was that, I was shocked by some of the stats still. So I was shocked that, 1 in 4 women in the UK are going to be in poverty in retirement. So my thing was, right, we've got to start to change this. And for me, it's opening conversations exactly like this. It's like, how can I bring it to more people that it becomes a norm to talk about wealth? Because we hide away a lot from talking about money, talking about wealth. So what do you see is the biggest thing that holds people back from investing, kind of from taking that step to go, well, actually, I can create a financial plan and I can create something. So what holds people back from doing that?
And one of the biggest things that I've learned by running some of my investing courses with women, usually it's women that come to the investing courses, is Brilliant. The jargon.
Yes.
They don't understand the jargon. And also, believe for a really long time that it is the man's role. If you think about how we were kind of developed through society, we are the nurturers as women. For centuries, we bear the children, we're the nurturers, we keep the family together, and the men are the hunter-gatherers. So they go out hunting, take the risk. And there's a couple of misconceptions with investing into our pensions, which we should be doing, like as women, because we take time out of our careers to have children, we stop national insurance contributions. So that impacts and this is in the UK, obviously, this impacts our state pensions. So we then have that gap. And that again leads to that poverty. But we don't pay into our pensions then. Even when we go back into work, we start our own business because we're trying to be flexible around the children, and then we don't fund our pensions for years. And because we perceive wrongly that investing is risky and we aren't the risk takers, we often hoard money in cash. And then the jargon, we're not used to the jargon because that's a man's world. All of these barriers are put up and kind of make us think that it's just too overwhelming. I'm going to risk it's going to be really risky if I put money into my pension. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to do it wrong. And all of these kind of really big misconceptions about taking those moves come up. So that's one of the things that I'm really passionate about kind of busting is I help to explain risk, really understanding risk, because actually there's more risk not doing these things. There's actually and understanding risk when you're as an investor, you realize that actually that's potential return, and it's switching it on its head, and you get to see the benefits of investing and the kind of how you can manage risk to create wealth for yourself. And then I explain the jargon, because the jargon actually is just, when you explain it, it really makes sense. And what is equity? It's just a stock market. It's understanding the jargon. I don't shy away from the jargon when I explain things, because I think it's really important that we get really confident with the words that are used, so that when you log on to Hargreaves Lansdown or whatever platform, they use these words, even though they're self-investment platforms, they still use the words, and then you're just like, oh, I know what that means. That means this. That's it just becomes really normal, and you think, yeah, now you understand my statement. I had a lady say to me yesterday, it was amazing. She said, after doing your investing course, like my husband's pension statement turned up and I understood it, and I was actually explaining to him what he has.
I love that.
And that's really interesting, isn't it?
Powerful.
Because actually a lot of the time, even though men have their pensions because they are risk takers, they just do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand actually often what they have. They just do it. Whereas we like to know what we're doing. We do, and that's really positive, isn't it? We like to understand. We want to know the risks so that we can manage everything confidently, and that's a real positive. So we don't want to have these things hold us back. We want to kind of learn and know what we're doing, have that awareness, and then be really confident in taking those positive strides forwards with our money.
I really love that. And I love embracing the jargon, because it's like you said, you can't shy away from it because it is everywhere. So you need to understand it. So empowering more to understand it, I think that's incredible. I think rather than busting it. So, and it was funny, my next question was going to be, let's talk about risk. What does it really mean to have a risk profile? So do you want to just give a top level in risk? I know you go deep into this in your course, but I'd really love just kind of a top level. What is risk when it comes to investing? What does it really mean?
Yeah. Risk isn't the risk of something going bust, because when you invest, you will likely invest into hundreds of different investments. You usually buy a fund, which is a collective investment. So the risk isn't you losing money. You only lose money if you sell at the wrong time. So if you put, say, 10,000 in and you needed to take that 10,000 back and it had fallen to 5,000, you're going to lose 5,000. So whenever you invest, it's really important to have an emergency fund, because that's how you can control when you access your investment in the future. And the risk then isn't that you're going to lose money. It's the ups and downs, the day-to-day ups and downs of the price of the investments that you hold. So when you put 10,000 in, it's going to be ups and downs along the way, and it's known as volatility. Volatility is the measure of risk. And when you go to a platform to look at an investment fund, or when you look at the risk of your investments you hold, they're usually on a scale of 1 to 7. One being really low risk and one being really high risk. And what that measure is it's the measure of ups and downs. How volatile is that investment? And if you're investing for a really long time, especially if you're investing in your pension that you can't access for a while, maybe, you should be looking at 6s and 7s, or 5, 6s and 7s, taking more volatility risk, because that is what is going to create the potential for the returns in the longer time. And what kind of the sorts of things you need to include, therefore, in the 6s and 7s category is stock market. So how you dial up and dial down risk is by just really generally increasing more stock market, more equity. So what do I mean by that? When a company issues shares, you can become a shareholder in that company, and that you own stock. You're an equity holder. So when you buy an investment, the more kind of stock market exposure, you've got more shares in your portfolio, and you dialing up in that risk in that way. So it's not necessarily the risk of you losing money, it's the ups and downs along the way. And we embrace the ups and downs because it's those ups and downs that means that you can make money over time, and you can benefit from those companies that you've invested into over time. And I know Kim Ozell says this a lot, and I love this because, you know, Kim's a friend of mine. Ex-investment manager. It's not timing the market, it is time in the market. So it's giving yourself time. Time is your biggest asset as an investor. If you can give yourself time to build up your wider wealth around your business, things that you can be generating wealth for yourself right now, if you can give your pensions and your investments time's your biggest asset. Compounding is really powerful when you give your investment time, because it can compound over time. That's really, really powerful. You can drip money in over time, and, you know, so then you're buying at the ups and downs along the way. Get started with whatever you can get started with. You only need £1 for $1.
I love that. Yeah.
You only need £1 to get started investing. And even if you get started with as little as you can, it'll have a profound impact on the value of that investment over time.
I love that. I think that's one of the biggest myths to bust, isn't it? Is that you have to have money to get started. So, I always do an exercise every couple of months, because I'm a terrible in getting into things that I've forgotten I've signed up for, and subscriptions and stuff like that, because I'm always testing software and I'm always doing new things. So literally for me, every couple of months I'll go through my account and go, okay, what am I spending on that I shouldn't be? Or what can I get rid of that I don't need or I'm not really using? And then what I do is I take that and go, oh, okay, for the last 3 months I've been paying for it. So I literally take the money and go, now I put it into my other pot again, and then put it into my investment pot and go, well, I've got used to it not being there. So, I did one the other day, which was 30 quid. I tested something for my father, and I was like, oh man, I'm bloody signed up for this. I'm paying for it. I'd forgotten I was paying for it. And like literally 3 months had come out, and I was like, well, great, there's another 30 quid. Thanks very much. So I put that straight into my investment pot, because I was like, well, it's coming out. I haven't noticed it. So, I love thinking like that. Is there little things that you kind of pay for, you don't realize, and it's like they can immediately go into your new investment pot. So, but that you have to have big money to get started, I think is so powerful. Yeah.
That will cost you. And that's one of the big myths I talk about. It will really cost you if you save up to invest.
Yes.
Because if you save up, say £10,000 before you get started, it's losing money in cash due to inflation. You're probably maybe more likely to spend it. You know, if you have £100 and you think, I'm going to save up, and then once I've got 10,000, then I'll invest.
Yeah.
You are massively missing out on compound investment returns, and it's going to cost you in the long term. You're better off saving that spare money into your investment pot straight away. You know, see your investment pot as a savings account. It's just a different type of savings account. It's just got stocks and shares or other investments, other assets that can grow by more than cash. You're cutting out the middleman when you invest, and you're going into assets that can grow in real terms. So a massive myth buster there, I think, when we think about saving up to invest. It'll really cost you. And also, one of the other things you just kind of triggered me to think about when you said about finding space, you know, even if you're paying down debts and you're saving up for your financial security, to create new wealth cycles in your brain. You know, if you're in a cycle of debt and you feel kind of, this is not possible, how will I find space? Find an awareness again of what you're spending your money on. If you're buying a coffee every week that you just don't want to be buying, if you then, you know, £5 a week, £25 a month, even if you're paying down debt and saving up for an emergency fund, funnel £25 a month into your pension or your investment. Because you're therefore saying, I am an investor. You know, I am not just these other things that I feel that are defining me. You get to define what you want to be, even when you're repaying some loans that you needed to set up your business, even if you are saving up for that emergency fund. You know, we prioritize high interest debt. Obviously, we want to clear high interest debt as a priority because it's really hard for the stock market to generate 30% returns for interest. But outside of that, be prioritizing anything that you can do with surplus income to create a new habit as an investor.
Yeah, I love that. I think, and again, it gives it, I do a lot of NLP, don't I? So NLP mastery is all around language. And it's like you said, sometimes when you're in that space, it's really hard to focus on. And again, it's little wins, isn't it, really? Again, it's that shift and the reframing. Like you said, you're going from just being totally in debt to actually now I'm investing. And even that shift in language, that shift in mindset to go, I'm now an investor, will reinforce that, oh, I like this side of things. And we always believe in law of attraction, don't we? So, the more that you get into that process of reframing your language as well. And I heard a really good example of this. I think it was Leslie Thomas. She's a money mindset coach. She was talking about the reframe in relation to even seeing debt as a positive. Like you got into debt for something. So whether it was a holiday, whether it was to pay off someone, to help someone, whether it was just to keep your roof over your head, is celebrate debt as well. In some ways, it's like celebrate that emotion and thank it for being there when you needed it. So again, I love playing on little words around reframing stuff. But yeah, you're right. Paying it down is, but that was one of the biggest myths I had around debt, because I was like, oh, you should always pay off debt first. And I got around investors like you, and it's like, oh, no, actually try and invest a little bit while you're paying off that debt. So that was a big myth buster for me, because I'd always thought that, you should clear all the debt first. And it's like, actually,
Yeah, we all have superpowers. And that's really important, because we all have superpowers. Like some people are really good at spending money. Some people are really good at saving money. And some people are really good at investing money. And there's all sorts of things that we are really good at. And it's embracing your superpower, because someone who can take out debt and be really confident with debt, that is a superpower. It's not necessary. Let's reframe these things. I really think that's really important, because owning what you are good at, but then where can you get more balance in other areas? Because people that save money and can't spend money or take debt, they're being held back as well. If they're just all money goes into one pot, it's learning to be intentional and to take that ownership of what's going to serve you, and thinking, yes, do you know what? Debt was really good then, or saving was really good then, and I was investing at that point. What do I need right now? And what balance do I need to create? Because we need to learn to embrace spending money to live a life we love. If we don't get confident with spending our time, energy, and money on a life we love in the present moment, and we're just so concerned with building money or reducing debt, then that's our life's for living. And it's been, it's all about kind of, when we think about the mindset, being in a state of dopamine rather than being in a state of serotonin, not serotonin, it's a cortisol. When we think about anxiety, and we get anxiety about money, we just want to have positive thoughts. We want to feel positive about money and wealth. And kind of, every time we think about our tax return, wouldn't it be amazing if, instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to do a tax return, and I start to get cortisol and anxiety, if we thought, amazing, I've made profit, I'm going to do my tax return, I'm going to, pay tax into society, I'm going to save some tax by doing a bit of my pensions, and getting really intentional and positive, you'll have a far less stress in your life, and you'll start to just experience your life for what it's there for.
Yeah, I really love that. And it's interesting you talk about, taking risks and seeing the difference in relation to it. I had a good story the other day I was sharing with someone that it was really interesting. One of the first learnings I had around how much of more of a risk taker I am in relation to, I like to think outside the box. You know what I'm like? I'm probably a creator is my superpower. Is that create more income. I don't necessarily keep it very well, but I create it very well. But I had a friend of mine who inherited a house, and this was back when we were about 29, 30, and she inherited a house. It was a $500,000 house, and it was paid off. And she was in investment banking with me. Incredible what she did. She was on a 6-figure salary, and I said to her, "Brilliant, you've got this investment now." And it was really fascinating. That was when I first learned about the difference in relation to people, how people think about money and the risk and the security. Because her was like, oh my God, I've got this. I don't ever have to worry about paying it again. But she wouldn't do anything with it. And I was like, oh, great, borrow against it. Take out 100 grand and go and buy 2 other houses. You know, it was like, so my thought process, well, you want to have kids in the future. How are you going to fund them? Like, you want to, you know, do things with your life. It's like you could create those pots from that one house. And it was really, and she sat on it. And I was just like, what a waste of an asset at 30. You know, different if she'd been 70, I'd understand that. But, you know, it was really interesting where the mindset of how I thought compared to what she thought.
I've worked with investment bankers. Some of my clients have been investment bankers, and I find a lot of investment bankers are risk averse in their own life.
It's interesting
because they're trading other people's money. It's not their money. And with the money, and they're also, because they see it, their income as highly volatile, and their jobs could come and go because you're literally holding on to your seat because someone wants your seat. Someone wants that 6-figure salary and that £1 million bonus. It can often lead people to feeling very, really risk averse in their own life, very nervous about how long is this going to last for, and I need to just squirrel as much of it away as possible. It is really interesting when you see different people's relationships with money and how they've been impacted and maybe where they're coming from. You can start to see how you can shape some change to getting them to think, okay, you can take some risk in your personal life, because actually taking risk will help you to create more financial stability and security. If you were to lose your job tomorrow, let's do some smart things here to give you independence from that job.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. Yeah, if I knew now what I know then, I would have helped her in a completely different way. I wasn't even a coach then. Do you know what I mean? I was just working real estate. I was working with her, but it was really interesting how much immediately I realized I thought differently at a younger age. So I've taken loads more risk in my life even, and got out of my comfort zone and done different things. It's really interesting when you start to really delve into coaching though, isn't it? It's like you said, it's understanding where people are coming from and their different journeys. I love it. Look, we've been going for nearly an hour already. So let's talk about just in relation to kind of what you do and how you help. And if you could share kind of a tip really for someone to get started with, or what's one wealth tip that you've got as well. So talk to me a little bit about kind of just working with you and what that really looks like.
Yeah, with Independent Wealth, I've really designed a route to wealth for anybody. And that's been a really big mission for me. So, you know, wherever you are, whether you're working in a job or as an entrepreneur, and you just want to get some kind of insight into what you kind of want to get from wealth, there's a route to wealth for everybody. And that's the biggest message that I want. You know, wealth isn't about your money. Wealth is about how you spend your time, energy, and money. But basically how I work is I love the financial planning aspect. You know, my business is a financial planning, education, and a coaching business. And the idea is that we design your best life. So I work one-to-one or in group. So I have my community, the Wealth Society, which is my monthly mentorship for helping people to create that strategy, that life strategy. And then how do we create the strategies along the way? And then my one-to-one. So my wealth strategy coaching programs are a one-to-one service where we build your base plan, and it's your life plan. And then we think of the strategies that we want to create to get you there. And then I have my mastermind to support my one-to-one clients, which brings all of those amazing brains together. And that's my way of accountability and checking in with you. So it really depends on where you are and the level of support that is right for you. I also do pure financial coaching for people that aren't yet ready for the strategy, that are having real challenges with their relationship with money and feeling stressed and anxious, and reducing that first, because that's really important. So the biggest tip that I would share to get started, and I do this whenever I work with anybody, the first thing that we do is look at your financial freedom number. And you can do this for yourself. So what is your best life? Map out your best life without any barriers. And this can be challenging if you come from that, what do you, you said earlier on, the first thing that people think about is what don't you want?
Yeah.
What do you want in your life?
Yeah.
What holidays do you want to have? What life do you want to lead? In an ideal world, think 10 years down the line, if there was complete abundance and there was no barriers at all, and you could live your life in any way, shape or form, list everything out and then put a price next to it. Look at all your costs at the minute, kind of go through your expenses and work out what your best life is going to cost you, because that's your financial freedom number. And no matter how big or whatever number that is the basis of the plan that you want to create, because we can create anything to plug in that financial freedom number. And it's all about knowing that number, because if you don't know that number, you don't know what you need to put into your pension for that number in the future one day, or what profit you need to make in your business. It's a really great way to start thinking about strategy and thinking about profit, thinking about the things that we need to invest into, some, properties or pensions. It's the foundation. It's the first thing that I would recommend anybody do, is just to kind of start with a blank piece of paper and write a list and work it out. How much would an annual holiday cost you?
I have to say, and that was probably one of the best exercises I ever did to eliminate fear. It was really interesting because when I started to do that, I had a massive fear of being like, I don't have kids. I've got a very small, intimate family. And one of my biggest fears was, who's going to look after me in retirement? Like, who's going to be there? And when I started to put these figures down and then started to create a plan to go, okay, if I've got that in place, that covers me for this. And it really took a lot of fear away around being able to do what I want to do now. It was really interesting. So I highly encourage you to do that exercise. And I just want to tap on two things before coming into this, that, obviously Iconic Wealth for Women is a community. This is what it's for, is for us to inspire you to have these conversations. So if you haven't joined the community, it's only $7.99 a month. It's cheap. And we've done that for a reason, to get you exposure to these types of women, to get you exposure into the community so you can start to have these conversations in a really safe space. No question is stupid. Like, we are here to support you. There's 17 incredible experts from all different avenues of wealth, not just in relation to kind of, understanding the financial markets and wealth. There's property people, there's mindset people, there's loads of stuff going on in the community. So firstly, join the community. But I love that what you talk about was really interesting. Your line was so similar to my line in relation to how I think about what I do. And it was like, I firmly believe that if more wealth is in the hands of people that want to do good, their impact and the ripple effect. And my saying is always, if good women earn good money, they do good things. So I love that we're on the same path of creating this ripple effect, because it starts with you. It just starts with one of you listening to us. So I find that really empowering as well. So
totally agree. I think, my mission is our big mission. I want to help reverse climate crisis. How can I do that? I want to help more amazing people that want to do good in the world have just that extra pound. £1 at a time, we can all make a difference.
Is it Starbucks? Is that line is one coffee at a time? You're doing £1 at a time.
yeah.
I think it is, isn't it? That's their mission, is one coffee at a time. It's like, I really love that, because again, I was at an incredible international women's event the other night, and we were talking about the, it's everyone wants these big things, and we all think that, we have to change the world. And actually, if we just start with the people around us, it's like you said, if we all just starting to make a shift, whether that's helping one people earn some more money so they can do something, it's like you said, making one more person feel more secure and have their investment. I think that, that is for me. And then I have to tap in. So you're from Yorkshire, aren't you? I cannot believe you don't know how to make Yorkshire pudding. Seriously.
Oh, I'm just so bad.
That was hilarious. Sorry.
I love Yorkshire puddings, by the way. I had to look up the recipe. I'm not confident at all. I can't just do it. Do you know what? There's things that I formed a habit in that I can just do without with my eyes closed. I'm more likely to be able to make an Italian meal than I am a Yorkshire pudding.
I think that's really cute.
Yeah,
I had to add that one. I'm really sorry. It's funny because I grew up because my grandparents transferred out to Australia. So if people haven't picked up my accent yet, I am Australian, but I've been here way too long in the UK. But my granddad transferred out with the Air Force, so he used to make the most incredible Yorkshire pudding. So I grew up with them, and when I come over here, I was like, oh wow, that's where they stem from. I didn't know anything about what they were when I grew up as a kid. I just saw this thing and I was like, that tastes good. But yeah, so I found it funny that you could that it's not your strength on how to make them. So
own your strengths.
Yes, we own your strengths, and I love that you've got to own your strengths. But I love sometimes having some uniqueness, like what's different about us. So, so it's brilliant. So, I know you're in the middle of a rebrand at the moment. I know you're bringing out independentwealth.co.uk, which is awesome. There's going to be some links around this podcast, and wherever you see this interview, there'll be links into the Iconic Wealth for Women community. But more importantly, obviously connect up with Emma. Emma's one of the experts in the group. She comes in, helps us, gives up her valuable time, and shares exactly more details and things like this. So join us on one of the panel discussions where we delve into a particular topic, a particular theme, or hear from the experts as they do their live trainings as well. So all your media links are going to be around this video somewhere, but above or below, depending where you are now. I'm getting excited now. So make sure you do connect up with it. And is your resource page live yet? Because I know you're in the middle of doing it.
No, it goes live on the 1st of April.
Brilliant. So by the time this is out, it will be live. So I'm replaying that it's out already. But was it Graham Norton always does that in Graham Norton show, doesn't it? It's not actually Saturday yet. So so they will be live. So there's a brilliant resource page. Emma's going to be sharing some really cool resources with you. So obviously tap over to her new site. And it's been a pleasure, Emma. Thank you so much for being here and giving up your time again and sharing your insights into our wealth journey. Any lasting tip, anything else you want to say?
I just want to say everything that you're doing with Iconic Wealth is just amazing. And I would highly, highly recommend anyone come into the community because it is going to be phenomenal. It is phenomenal.
Awesome. And hopefully, I'm not sure when this one will be released. We're releasing these as we go. The book may be out. So obviously keep an eye on for the Iconic Wealth for Women book. If you haven't already seen that, Emma has an incredible chapter in the book as well as I do, and 17 other experts. So if it's out, it's out. If not, it's coming soon, depending when this one gets released. So thank you so much for your time, Emma. Thank you very much for everyone that's tuned in. Make sure you tune into the rest of our segments. We share insights and opportunities around not only growing your income, but growing your long-term wealth, because we want to make these conversations as normal as possible to support you along your wealth journey. So I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now.